Welcome everybody. Today, or this week I should say, we are going to take a little bit of a break from our DBQ work and our thinking at its hardest and do something fun. For this week you're going to be a history detective trying to figure out how the American Army defeated the most powerful army in the world. Now, I want to put this in perspective. I know several of you are probably football fans. I don't know if you like the Rams, the Raiders, the Niners, or the Chargers. And as the NFL season gets underway, some of you are probably watching, Sunday night and Monday night, and probably all day Sunday watching football. But let me share my favorite team with you. These are the Lancers. These are some of my students, and this is our flag football team. Now, I want you to imagine that these guys played the Rams, and they won. No joke. The Dale Junior High School boys flag football team and girls, it's co-ed, defeated the Rams. Now I know the Rams aren't off to a great start, but still, that is a remarkable victory. And that's the kind of victory we're talking about with Yankees versus Redcoats. We had an unarmed, well they were armed, but they were not trained, group of American citizens take up their arms and they defeated the most powerful and the heavily armed and the best supplied army in the world. How did that happen? It really surprised everybody. In fact, when the British Army surrendered, they played a song called "The World Turned Upside Down." And this week, I'm going to ask you to figure out how the Yankees, the American Army, defeated the most powerful army in the world, turning the world upside down. The group of colonists defeating the most powerful army in the world is truly a remarkable accomplishment. So with that, let's take a listen to George Washington. So that's what you're going to try to figure out. How did the Americans defeat the most powerful army in the world? So our goal is for you to describe how the Americans won. You've got an activity where you're going to be reading clues and developing a claim, supporting with evidence, and then you're going to showcase your theory in a discussion that explains how the Yankees defeated the Redcoats. And that's all you're about this week. So one of the first things you're going to do, and let me escape out of this really quick, is you're going to go to Modules, and you'll click on Yankees versus Redcoats, and you're going to open up this form. And on this form, you're going to see a variety of clues. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read these clues, and you're going to classify them as supporting an American victory or supporting a British victory. So for example, let's take a look at the first one. When Washington arrived outside of Boston on July 2nd, 1775, he found himself in charge of an army of about 14,000 men. Nearly all the men wore ordinary clothes. There were no uniforms. Oh, wow. So they had no uniforms. They did have a lot of soldiers, 14,000 soldiers, but no uniforms. I would say since they didn't have uniforms, that would support an American victory. I'm going to put an X, or excuse me, supporting a British victory. And I would put an X, and then I'll make that X bigger. And then I'm going to go to the next clues. American rifle companies were impressive. The guns called Pennsylvania rifles had grooved barrels which sent bullets spinning when fired. These rifles were accurate up to 150 yards. Ooh, that sounds like an American victory. So, you've got a dozen clues to go through. And again, make the X a little bit bigger so we can see it. If you want to put a different color, you're welcome to do that too. But really, you're just going to go through a dozen clues and you're going to see which ones support an American victory and which ones support a British victory. Now, while you're doing this, you're going to try to think about how these clues support an American victory. So, with that, you are like a history detective, like I said a moment ago. Now, from there, the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at developing a claim. And when you click on 12.3, developing a claim, excuse me, 12.2, developing a claim, let's get it in a bigger window so you guys can see it better. This is where you're going to put it all together, and you're going to review the clues you did in 12.1, and then you're going to complete the sentence. The Americans won because. And then you're looking at evidence. Why do you think that? And I'd like you to do 3 pieces, but if you could do 2 or 1, that's great. But don't forget to explain how your evidence it supports your claim. So again, that's the claim evidence reasoning, the same kind of thinking that we do in a DBQ, but this one is fairly low stakes kind of writing, just helping you guys wrap your brain around this question about how the Americans won. Now, if you need assistance with this, you do have some assistance for you, but your goal is to write a claim, and that claim is explaining how the Americans won. So your claim will start with either the Americans won because or the British lost because. It's pretty much that simple. But you have an assistant. I'm not sure that you know about Scrapy, but if you go to on eCadence, and I'm just going to go ahead and switch to learner because you got to be a learner to do this. If you do go to the message center, and you click on chats, this is where Scrapy's hanging out. And Scrapy is an incredible tool for you. Scrapy will help you answer any question for any class. He's going to guide you through it. It's your personal tutor. And he knows about you and he remembers you. So, for example, if I was going to ask Scrapy for some help, what I would be doing is the first thing I would do is I would establish a context. And to do that, I would ask Scrapy, how did the Americans win their independence against the British? This is going to engage Scrapy in a conversation, and then you could sort of drill down about uniforms, advantage or disadvantage. How did France help? Maybe from the clues you might have another question about military leadership. Or perhaps you really want to get into the guerrilla fighting style that the Americans had borrowed from the Native Americans. And then if you want him to create a documentary, he can also help you do that. So that's a pretty cool tool that you have at your fingertips, really, for any class, not just the American experience. So with that being said, I don't know why this is not advancing, but I wanted to show you a quick little video about how the Americans won to give you some fuel for that fire. So let's watch this, shall we? Hopefully the audio will come through for you. All right, so that's what we're all about this week. We're trying to figure out how the Americans defeated the British. Just don't watch it again. Stuck in a loop. So that's what we're all about. And we will talk a little bit more on Thursday, and we'll have a little bit of fun with this. But again, your claim will start with these sentence frames. The Americans won because, or the British won because. And again, this is a really fun week. It's kind of a light, humorous week because some of you are still working on polishing your Valley Forge DBQ and getting that turned in. And also some of you that are joining the class late really didn't understand the whole way that online learning works and you fell behind from the start. So here's an opportunity for you to get caught up and also an opportunity for you to be extra cool and do something special. All right, everybody, I'll see you on Thursday for our live class. Have an awesome beginning of your week.